everyone. Just let us know that you are watching. Just write like hi or hello or something in the comments if you can see us. I think we're live now. I can't see anyone, but I think we're definitely live anyway. So I'll just make a start. So hello, I'm Alison. I'm part of the Heal Hub team at Lyfeproof. And for anyone that doesn't know, Heal Hub is our mental health service that connects young people to free therapy. And I'm here with a few young people that have gone through therapy themselves. And we're just here to chat about their experiences, chat about what they've learned, talk about if anything has surprised them during the process. So if you're about to start therapy or you're considering it, this should be like a really interesting conversation for you to listen to if you have any like worries or concerns, because I'm sure that if you have those concerns, then other people will have them as well. Or maybe, you're just interested in hearing about some people with different experiences that have gone through like the process of therapy. And this stream will be available on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you know someone that's about to start therapy, then feel free to send this to them as well, because I think it's going to be really interesting to hear what you guys have to say. And if you have any questions for us or any comments, then feel free to like leave them in the chat and we'll try and get to them. We'll try and answer them too. So yeah, I'd just like to start by introducing my guests today. So I'd just like you to like introduce yourselves and just chat a little bit about like why you decided to take part today.
Should I start?
Yeah.
My name is Anna. I'm a second-year psychology student at University of Birmingham, and the reason why I decided to join this chat today is because recently I've made the decision to go into therapy and to take my mental health seriously after coming from a place, I'm from Romania, and after coming from a place where mental health is not usually taken that seriously and where the access to mental health is not as easy as here, I've decided to like take this seriously. And I think it was quite hard for me to come to make this decision. And I hope that at the end of today's talk chat, young people will feel more comfortable and confident making this decision for themselves as well.
Okay, well, I'm Lauren. I'm currently a software engineering student at Manchester Met. I want to take part today because I feel like it's really important that these kind of topics are talked about. And I feel like therapy should be open to more people and people shouldn't be too afraid to take that step. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very good reasons for you guys taking part. Yeah, I really hope this can be, helpful to someone who's feeling like apprehensive or like worried or concerned or is thinking about therapy, but, isn't quite sure if it's for them. So yeah, this should be really good. So you were both talking about the fact you've gone through like the therapy process. So I just wanted to start off by asking you guys if you're glad you started therapy, like now you're looking sort of back at it from like when you first started.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like therapy sort of opened a new door to me. I was able to kind of look from the outside in and just see like, how I could be better in life and how I can handle my emotions. And just, it's nice to talk to someone as well. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, so you're generally like happy that you did. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Anna Marie?
Yeah, I was going to say that I totally agree. I think, as Lauren said, it's great to be able to talk to someone. And I think everyone at any point during life, they could benefit from therapy. And personally, I'm really happy that I decided to do this because it made me more aware of my feelings and like things that I've been dealing with that I wasn't really paying attention to, and just how important it is to take those things seriously and to focus on them as well, so that you can then perform better in life and like have better relationships with people and, you know, understand yourself better.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, it is like really important, and I imagine that you gain so much from it that you didn't necessarily like expect to as well. So yeah, okay, no, it's really good to hear that you've both had like positive experiences, because I know, you know, sometimes people, especially with their first time having therapy, sometimes it's not a positive experience for one reason or another. So it's really nice to hear that you've both had good experiences with it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about like obstacles and like barriers to therapy, because I mean, it's still like a fairly taboo subject in some like worlds, and it's sort of becoming less of a taboo subject now, especially among young people, which is great. But I know some people, you know, they're still, they might benefit from therapy, but they might be being like held back by something. So what do you guys think? Like, was there anything that stopped you from receiving therapy sooner?
I'd say I definitely felt like I didn't want to kind of let another person in. Like, I was scared to speak about my feelings because we're always taught, you know, just deal with it, you know, you'll push through. But sometimes it's really good to speak to someone. And I think also kind of just, I don't know, just like scared of like, you know, what you could figure out about yourself. Like, you don't want to open up a box that, you know, you can't close.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that probably held me back from receiving therapy sooner was the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like back home in Romania, people don't really take mental health that seriously. And also, there's a little bit of stigma around therapy, which is definitely not true. And I think for me personally, it got to a point where my feelings maybe have been invalidated by people to a point where I would invalidate my own feelings. And even though I was trying to like take myself seriously, I didn't really know where to draw the line. And I didn't really know if I wasn't taking things seriously or if things weren't really serious at all. And as Lauren said, also like the fear of just opening up to a stranger and not really knowing how things are going to go.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I can so see how that seems really daunting to, you know, no one really wants to spill their secrets out to like a relative stranger, do they? So is there any like advice you'd give for someone who was worried about that, do you think?
I'd say honestly, just go for it. There's, you know, like, what's the worst that could happen? You know, at the end of the day, you're talking to someone about your feelings, but at least there's someone there to talk to, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say go for it and like go in it with like an open mind, because you would never know, like different therapists have different ways of like approaching situations. But even if at given times you feel like things are not really working that well, you can always talk to your therapist and ask them to maybe approach things differently. So, you know, it's a great process that can be built on. And at the end of the day, you're kind of like establishing a relationship with someone so that it would benefit you the most. So yeah, as Lauren said, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I think that's like really good advice. And like if you're struggling as well, you know, do you want to stay stuck somewhere potentially, or do you want to take a little bit of a risk to then, you know, try and like improve your situation? Because I think ultimately like it is a scary thing to do at first, and you know, if you're in like a difficult place, then that's also, it's going to seem even more scary, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's really good advice, and definitely something that anyone like watching should take on board as well. So I thought now we'd talk a little bit about like how you saw therapy before you started it, because I know, you know, therapy is shown in like TV shows and you hear about it on social media and things. So what were your preconceptions about therapy before you started it?
I thought that like quite a few therapists would be like patronizing, like sort of like talking like down to me in a way. But once I got into it, it was just them asking general questions. Like it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, for me, because I used to be a very like introspective person, I just, as I was saying earlier, I didn't really know where to like draw the line. Like I didn't know if the answers that I would give myself to certain questions were like true or correct, or if I was honest to myself. So kind of like my expectations of therapy was I would just go there, tell a professional about like the different options that I thought were correct, and they would just tell me which one of them is correct and kind of like give me the answers to my problems. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then yeah, it's not that easy, is it? You don't have someone being able to tell you all the answers to everything. I think unfortunately you have to figure that out for yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, I guess just not something that you would necessarily expect, because if they're like a professional, or you know, they've got all these qualifications and things, you might just sit down and think, oh well, tell me what I should be doing, when, you know, that's not necessarily the case. So Lauren, you were talking about like feeling like comfortable. Do you think that your like therapist made you feel like very comfortable so that you could like open up about things?
Yes, definitely, because my therapist, like, she knew boundaries, like she knew where not to overstep, and she knew like the right things to ask as well. So yeah, I was definitely comfortable.
Yeah, no, that's good. And again, like that's really good to hear as well, because yeah, I think a lot of the time, I don't know what you guys think about this, but you hear bad stories of therapy, especially on like social media and things, because I think when something, you know, doesn't go to plan, people are more likely to like shout about it online.
Yeah, social media definitely plays a big part. Yeah.
What had you guys heard about like online about therapy, like on social media and stuff?
I've heard things like, you know, therapists being very dismissive and not really, you know, paying much attention to the client, things like that.
Yeah, I've heard about therapists who are like over emotional sometimes, and they would react in a very like emotional way to their clients' kind of like experiences.
Yeah. And I guess some people might actually want that, but some people like that's not going to help as well. So I guess it depends on the person, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know how I would react if like my therapist started like, don't know, crying or something. But I think some people like do want that level of empathy maybe. But yeah, I know what you mean. And I think that's what like you have to remember, that like you might be like paired with a therapist or seeing a therapist, and it might not necessarily be like the best one for you, and that doesn't necessarily mean that like therapy isn't for you as well. So I think that's really important to remember. Were you guys like surprised about anything during therapy?
I think it kind of met my expectations. I didn't really expect much. I just thought of it being just generic, like, you know, you're in the room with them, they're asking questions, we just have a general chat. Yeah.
Personally, I think I was surprised by a lot in therapy. I'm the type of person that usually talks a lot and is quite like open with their friends and family, and like you wouldn't think that I would have a problem opening up to people. But in therapy, I realized that even though I was what people would call like an open person, I would actually never really like actually talk about my feelings. I was always like rambling and kind of like always covering up how I would actually feel. And I think that was one of the biggest like things that I've realized in therapy, and something that really helped me a lot.
Yeah, so that you were very talkative, but that didn't necessarily mean you were like being like open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I feel like that's definitely something that like only a therapist could have like maybe brought up, because maybe other people around you don't realize that, or like felt like maybe they wouldn't like want to tell you that and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think people around me, that's why they were probably like surprised when I told them I think I should try to go to therapy. They were always like, but you always talk about what's going on. Like, what is it that we don't know? What is it that we can't help you with? Yeah. And then halfway through my sessions, there was this like one moment when my therapist was just like asking me questions. And then she was like, I don't mean to like interrupt you, but you're not answering the question. You're not actually talking about your feelings. You're just talking. And yeah, that was a good thing. I'm glad she called me out on that.
Yeah, like a politician, like not answering the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I can see how that's like really useful to know as well, because you can pick up on that like when you're doing it outside of therapy as well, like in your everyday life. Like, do you think that's helped you be more like open and honest with your friends and family?
Yeah, definitely. It made me aware in conversations when I do that, when I start talking about something and then I kind of like don't really talk about that. And it also helped me be more honest to myself about my feelings and more like conscious and like present as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Any other like surprises that you faced during therapy, do you think, or was that about it?
Yeah, I think it was this, and also the fact that you sort of like see the positive effects after a while. And sometimes it's not like, it can be a moment like this that I've just described when you suddenly become aware of something, but it's also at the end of, let's say, like 5 or 6 sessions, you kind of like look at yourself in your life and you kind of like realize how your mood has improved a little bit and how you've made slow progress, even though you weren't necessarily aware of it. And then like the quality of like your everyday life and mood just improves gradually.
Okay, yeah. So it's like less of a quick fix type situation. Yeah. It's like really gradual. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important for like people to bear in mind as well, because like especially when it comes to mental health, like there aren't any quick fixes. Like that's just not how it works. So yeah, I think with therapy you have to bear in mind that like it's a slow process, but you will see improvements eventually if you're in the right sort of therapy. So yeah. And talking about, you know, being in therapy, were there like any challenges that you faced that we've not talked about yet?
I'd say becoming too emotional. Like, I found myself, like, even in one session, I was crying. I did not expect that at all. So that was definitely one thing. But yeah.
Yeah. And were you like taken aback by that?
Yeah, because, you know, I went into therapy thinking, oh, you know, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to tell them how I'm feeling and it'll be all done and over with. But then as the sessions go on, you don't even realize, but your guard is going lower and lower. And then once you finally open up, it's like such a good feeling.
Yeah, that's good. And did you feel like better after that, after like crying and letting it all out?
Yeah, definitely, because it kind of gave me a chance to just sit back and actually think about the way I'm feeling and, you know, how I could do things differently in life. And yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that's made you like more comfortable with like your emotions and things?
Yeah, definitely. I'm more open with it and I cry when I want to cry. I shout when I want to shout.
Yes, let it all out. Definitely. What about you, Anna?
I think, I think becoming too emotional wasn't necessarily a problem for me because I feel like I am very emotional anyways. I think somehow one challenge was kind of like expecting other people to be as responsive and as careful to, you know, whatever you're trying to tell them as a therapist would be. It kind of like gives you this expectation of, you know, people always telling you the right thing or always being, you know, very like respectful of your boundaries and everything, which doesn't really happen. And you kind of like have to, you know, learn to sort of like accept that, you know, people are just going to do their thing and you can't really change the way they're going to react, but you need to learn to be comfortable with yourself and know that, you know, the experiences that you have in therapy are meant to help you build like resilience when it comes down to situations like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think resilience is like such a big one because, you know, if you can build resilience, then, you know, no matter what life throws at you, then, you know, it is, you can overcome things. It's sort of one of those skills that sort of is broad and can be applied to like any aspect of life as well. So you were talking about like boundaries. Is that something that came up in therapy?
Not really. I think no, not really. I feel like I normally I'm not really a good person at like setting like healthy boundaries, even though I'm trying to. I never really have like a limit where I know how to say no or I know how to, you know, kind of like just do what's right for me. I'm more like a people pleaser, and that's why I was like struggling with boundaries. But like I think in therapy, as a result of everything that I've learned about like resilience and becoming a more of a like assertive person when it comes down to how I'm feeling, I've learned how to build healthy boundaries with people. And then I was more than happy to like realize as soon as I explain to people where I'm coming from with how I'm feeling and, you know, why I need this doing, which is something that I didn't expect before, you know, learning in therapy that it's okay to do this.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And that's good because I think, yeah, boundaries are like a really, really important part of living like a healthy life and especially a healthy like social life as well. And I know that that comes up a lot in therapy for like some people. Yeah, that's really good to hear. We've spoken a little bit about this, but did you guys find therapy helpful straight away, like from the first few sessions, or did it take you like a little bit of time to see a difference?
For me, it took a bit of time because, like, when, like, you know, she was first asking the questions, I was like, why is she asking this? Like, what relevance does she like this have? But I feel like everything was kind of like leading up to something. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it helped. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I think that's natural to feel a bit guarded at first. You know, it's a complete like stranger that you're like sat with, isn't it? So I think a lot of therapists will probably understand that as well. Um, yeah, definitely. If anyone is in therapy at the moment, like, and they're seeing that it's not helping, but you're in the early stages, I would say like definitely keep going with it. You know, at least like for a little bit of time, because as we said earlier, like it is a gradual process. How long was it before you guys like started to see a difference, would you say?
Probably the fourth or fifth session because she was given like exercises to do. That's another thing. If they give you exercises, it may sound a bit silly at first, but just do them because the exercises that they set, I still do them day to day. Like just like things like, you know, 3 things that you know, I've done well, or 3 things that I'm proud of, 3 things that I'm grateful, anything like that. And yeah, it does help. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've had therapy experiences where I've had like exercises to do, and at first I was just like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't see how this is relevant. But then as I was doing it, I noticed that gradually they were helping. Um, and I also think that for me personally, I've seen like the later effects, like positive effects of therapy, but I've also seen like very positive ones quite like instantly because in the I've reached out for help and like therapy when I was in quite like a really bad place. So it really helped getting that like immediate help then. And also I think even if like somebody is scared about like reaching out for help, I think the first feeling of like relief that I've had was when I like referred myself for therapy because I knew that, you know, help was on the way. And that's when I think that was like the first instance when I was like, oh, okay, I think this is going to be a good thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes like total sense as well. It's like a weight being lifted, like I guess kind of like a mini like placebo effect. Like you've not actually had any like support yet, but you know that it's approaching. So yeah, I can see how that would help too. Um, so like, what would you guys say was like your most useful takeaway from your whole therapy experience?
I'd say that it's okay to talk. Like I used to spend a lot of time just bottling things up, but then I realized the importance of just talking sometimes, even if it's something small. Just say it because it could help.
Yeah, do you mean like talking to like friends and family and things?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think like that's super important. Like I think we really underestimate like social support and like feeling connected to the people around us. And I think especially when you take people like you are around people all the time, you can sometimes end up taking people for granted, and you realize that you see them all the time, but you're not necessarily like that close and that connected. And like talking is like the number one way that you can, you know, improve your well-being and improve your like your own social support, and then that, you know, it's a cycle, isn't it? You talk to people more, then you feel more connected, and then it's easier to talk. So yeah, I think that's really important.
I think another thing as well, like when you're in a bad place, sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't think they'd care if I was to speak to them about it. And I know it's like a natural feeling, but honestly, we're all human at the end of the day. Like we're all going through stuff. So I feel like it's good to speak up as well.
And what was your most useful takeaway, would you say, Anna?
I was trying to think. I definitely agree that with what Lauren said, that it's always good, even when you're in a bad place, to reach out to people. And also that, I think for me personally, more be kind to yourself and kind of remember that what's the most important thing is the present moment, and kind of try and not really worry about the future or the past, because just worrying about it doesn't change the situation, and kind of just learn to be grounded and to kind of enjoy the present moment, and give yourself credit for being where you are and for all of the good things that you do in your life, and just be kinder to yourself in general.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. It's so easy to just be mean to ourselves, in such a high pressure world that we live in. So yeah, I think that's a really nice one as well. And yeah, about being in the present moment. Again, it's so much hard, easier said than done. It's so much harder than you expect it to be, when you've got stuff going on and you've got pressure and school and work and whatever. But yeah, I think that's really, really important. And just focusing on the day in front of you. That's what I always try and do. If I'm stressed or worried or whatever, just okay, what do I have to do today? Just this little box of time, and not think about the future. Yeah, so I just like to end with you guys sort of giving your own advice and stuff for people who might be considering going to therapy, or that are about to start, and they're really unsure or whatever. What would be your one piece of advice to someone who is about to start therapy?
I would say put yourself first. Don't worry about what everyone else would think. Don't worry about the stigma or whatever. It's about you. Your mind and your health comes first. And yeah, just go in with an open mind and try your best. It may seem, not really helping at first, but just go through with it.
Yeah, I would say, just go for it. And, everybody deserves to feel better and to receive the help that they need. And it's definitely something worth doing. And it's the greatest act of self-care that you could do. And a lot of good things are going to come out of it. And it's always worth doing it. Just go into it with an open mind, and it should be great.
Yeah, definitely. I think having an open mind is really, really important. And again, something that can be quite difficult, I think, especially if you're in a difficult place, because you might go into it just wanting to be fixed or whatever, when that's not necessarily the case. And you do need to try and keep an open mind to what your therapist is saying, and to what other people are saying around you as well. So yeah, I think the one thing I would add to that is don't be afraid to really take charge of your therapy as well. Just because this therapist has experience and might potentially be older than you if you're a young person, don't think that means that you can't go into it and want to get something out of it. You need to want to take control of it if you can. If something isn't working, or if there's something that you want to talk about that week, mention it, because it's for you ultimately. So I would just add that as well, because I think a lot of young people struggle with that. They struggle to like take charge a little bit. So I think I would add that as well. But yeah, anyone got any like closing thoughts that they'd like to say or anything?
Yeah, just go through with it, open mind, and put yourself first. That's it.
I like
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Okay, brilliant.
And take care.
Yeah, definitely do what's right for you, and if that means, you know, exploring therapy, then definitely like give it a chance at least, because yeah, I think ultimately it's going to like benefit you in some way. So yeah, definitely. So yeah, thank you both. Yeah, it's been really, really interesting to like hear what you've had to say. Like, I feel like I've like learnt lots, and I've learnt things that like I hadn't even considered before. So yeah, thank you guys. It's been like great to have you like talking to me. Yeah, thank you everyone. We have another webinar coming up next week, which is all about attachment styles, and how that affects your relationships. So look out for that one as well. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, thank you. We'll all see you soon. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Lyfeproof UK. So there'll be lots of things related to Heal Hub coming up on there as well. And you can subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. But yeah, thanks guys. And we'll see you soon. It's been great. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.